you, just tick off if I do it in the right order. Just tick off to see, do I do what I say I do in position there, fussing and play. Perfect. So pre-shot routine, in position there, fussing and play. We'll just do a simple exercise. Just if you can grab a ball, if you get yourself into pairs, you don't need a club for this. In position there, fuss. So if you pop your thumbs against the wall, perfect. If I go I'll go yourself into there. Brilliant. So if you spread yourselves out, stand about 10 paces apart. You spread yourselves out a wee bit.
A partner?
Yeah, just a partner. Perfect. And then whoever's got the ball in their hand, if you just throw it to your partner, and the partner just catch it and throw it back. Yeah. Do the same again. Perfect. Excellent. Brilliant. Now switch round. So whoever started with the ball, switch to the other person then for us. That's it. Perfect. Same again. Just throw it to your partner, catch it and just throw it back. Alright, all good. Excellent. This time do the same exercise, but what we want to do is stand in front of the partner and think, right, how far are they away? How many feet are they from me? What arm swing do I need to have? How far should I take it back and when should I let go of the ball? Alright, so it's exactly the same exercise, but just stop and think about it just a touch. So think how far I am away, Richard. How much arm swing do you need? And when to let go. Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Right, let's get you all back in. What was easier, the first time or the second time? We have to think about it a bit more. First time. Excellent. So you've never stood that far apart before, but instinctively you know exactly by one or two throws exactly where the hands are and when to get it. And if someone threw a ball at you, it would do the same in position. As soon as you have to think, right, how far is Andy away from me? How much arm swing do I need and when to let go? Richards was down here, like that. It's exactly what happens in your golf swing. Everyone's the same. Right, I must do this because Kev said this and do that and this and this. And what we've done there, in an instant, we stripped all your natural ability away. And that's what most golfers never reach their potential, is they never let their natural ability take over. Because they've got a good pre-shot routine. They don't just switch off and think of nothing or just focus on the one point. Does that make sense? So it's a simple exercise throwing the ball, but it's just as hard, isn't it? Like taking the penalty and anything. The more pressure there is, if the routine's not there, if the natural ability's not there in position there, it doesn't take place. So in sort of expanding on that, to have a good pre-shot routine, does it make your technique any better? Definitely not. You still have to work on your technique. Does it make your technique work? Yeah, it gives it a lot more chance of working. Alright? Perfect. The golf swing itself, it's over 200 muscles being used in a second and a half. So if you're thinking of something going this way, something this way will be affected. And it's always going with opposites in position. Alright? Perfect. Right, on to the routine. So I'll show you in a good way, and it doesn't have to be the same as mine. It doesn't have to be the same as anyone's. You can make your own routine up. Not to be too long, not to be too short, whatever suits you best. Whatever it is you do, great. We always say that we get golfers in and say, oh, I do this when I putt. And we say, does the ball go in the hole yet? Brilliant, use it, absolutely use it. As long as it's not too far from the book, really, in that respect. So good routine for us in position. So it's my turn to play. I'll stand behind the ball. I'll switch on and concentrate in position there, so nothing's going to affect me, nothing's going to worry me in position there. I'll stand behind the ball. How far is it? What's the lie like? Conditions? What club do I need to play the shot I want to play? In position there for us in play, I'll decide that club, yeah, that's it, I'm done then, no problem at all. I'm not going to go back and change it, I'm not going to undecide that in position there for me in play. Then I stand behind the ball and visualise, so I always hit the ball with a draw, so I'm going to visualise the ball drawing into the actual position. If I'm round the green, the one thing I think about pitching and chipping is the bottom flag, which is still at the bottom of the flag in position there for us in play. I'll then pick a target to aim at, exactly the same as yourself, 3 or 4 feet in front of the golf ball. Because when I get in a second, that then is in my peripheral vision. I don't need to keep looking up to my target. I'm not aiming too far away. I've got something to aim at. So I've made the decision. I know what shot I'm going to play. I've visualised the shot. My practice swing I always have behind the ball. So I always have it on the line of the ball here. If the tee doesn't permit it room-wise, I always practice swing here. So I'm actually looking down the line of the target. Great players in the world practice swing here, but I always feel that if I'm practice swinging here, especially when I putt, I'm practicing to a hole which is 6 or 7 inches left of the one I want to go at. So I always practice swinging the line of it, or always looking down the line of it. So I'm ready to go. Everything's checked, no problem in position. Then I step in the line and settle. I always have my feet quite a way out of position. And then my golf club at my spot. I set my feet up, my grip goes on. I always lift the club up and waggle it once. I'll have one look at my target, back at the ball. One look at my target, back at the ball. I have a moment of stillness. My one point of focus is always the golf ball. I just focus at the golf ball. It's always there, it's quite bright, and it's in your face, so I always focus on the ball. And then I just let my swing take place. And then on to the, hopefully, pick it out of the hole. Right, so that's in a good way. Does that all make sense so far for you? This will make even more sense in a bad way, because I can relate to this. And if you ever look at everyone practicing on the range, everyone's got a good routine or a bad routine, because everybody's got a routine they go through. So in a bad way, this is the one we can relate to. So we get up to the ball, it's our turn to play. You know, I'm a bit nervous, there's a few people watching me in position there for us. What club is it going to be? What shot am I going to play? Is it 5-iron, 4-iron? I know what I do. I'll hit a 4-iron just in case I duck it, because then it's going to go further. So we're always we're already in a negative frame of mind. There's no practice swing behind the ball there for us in position. We clamber onto the mat ASAP, and we're practice swinging in, thinking, like 3 or 4 swing thoughts. Yeah, is it this? Is it that? Shall I do this? So that goes back to that throwing exercise of where shall I stop? Where shall I start? We're visualising. Don't hit a bad shot. Don't do this. Don't do that. We get over the ball, we freeze, we don't know when to swing the club, so we're stood there thinking, shall I swing it now, shall I do this, shall I do that, in position there for us. We have one more visualisation, so the visualisation is always a little bit strange to talk about. We think, don't hit it in the trees like we did last week, don't pull it in that big bunk on the left, so everyone's thinking of things, we're always thinking that anyway. And then we stand over the ball, we hit the shot we've planned really, we hit it in the trees and it's the same old thing. Oh, that always happens to me and myself. And the reason that is because we plan to do it. We have the routine that takes us there to do it. Alright? Does that make a bit more sense? It did to me when I first got taught that in position. And you can probably pick the holes, right? There's probably a hole that you play at your golf club and you think, oh my god, yeah, that always happens on that hole. And you'll find it's because we plan it that way. Okay? Any questions on that at all? Any questions? No? So it's over to yourselves. We'll get you to hit some shots, and over to yourselves to plan your own pre-shot routine. I would definitely aim something in the short term. That's a brilliant one, that in position, because it would be like firing a rifle without a sight on it. You could do the same job, but you can look at something in the short term. Practice swing away from the ball. Never rush into the mat. It could be that you practice swing. Yeah, that's no problem at all. Lots of great golfers do. Lots of great golfers nowadays do. It's just my personal preference to practice on the line of it in position there.
Okay, something I've been doing recently, because I've changed dramatically, and I'm still in that transition, and I'm still working on the course. But something I'm trying to do is, on the course, because I feel I'm 8 miles left, I actually imagine I'm on the range.
Right, okay, yeah.
So I actually do what Paul said, look at the spot in front, and then I don't look at the hole again, because if I look at the hole, I feel I'm miles away.
They throw you out.
So I'm just trying to imagine that I'm actually on the range, because every shot has to be a straight shot.
Absolutely, yeah, perfect.
So it doesn't matter where the hole is, as long as I know I'm on the range, on the course. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because otherwise I look at the hole and I think I want to aim miles right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We over-exaggerate as well. That's the thing. Like we mentioned inside, an inch offline here, 10 feet away is 50 yards offline, and you'll find that the golfers. So if that was my centre point there, to get it to go into the rough on the right, 150 yards away, I probably only need to do that. Of course, the danger is we all do the same. So, the typical example is there's a big pond on the left. We don't want it to go in there, so we aim the club down the middle. We aim off the planet to the right, which means we have to swing it towards the pond to get it in the middle of the fairway, and it goes in the pond inwards. So the aim is such an amazing thing. Like with your stick to practicing the aim is so important. So many golfers come into us talking about their swing, and they're not even aiming in the right direction. So it's irrelevant when the swing, unless the aim's good, which is good practice in position. When you practice your routine as well, at the end of your practice, when you're doing your test or anything like that, always practice your pre-shot routine, because it bridges the gap between play and practice. So not many golfers come to the range and play golf. They practice, but they don't play the game. And playing the game is just going through the same routine. The way we would sort of grade it is exam versus revision. So we revise in the driving range and take the exam on the course, but you can never revise in an exam. So when you're out there playing, if you think this and this, the game's over, it's done. If you go out and take your exam and it goes wrong, come back to the range and revise more. And the only way you bridge the gap is to practice your routine, so that when you go out there and play, it's automatic. And yeah, the pressure never changes, and it gets harder, and I've got to putt for an eagle, it is hard, but the routine will stand you in good stead. Okay?
Brilliant.
Any more questions? Any more questions? There's no rush either. Pre-shot routine takes ages to get right. It takes ages to get correct in the same time, doing the same thing at the same time. But even if you got it slightly out of position, the game will definitely get better. Just doing the same thing, the same preparation every time. Okay?